So here's roughly what you should have for your box. We're going to make a couple of modifications. For example, we should take this bar here and change it to where it's only 4.5 inches instead of 12. Okay, this should match up much nicer with what you actually have in your box. We also have two other pieces that are followers, and these are not the same as your axle. So when I change the size of the follower, it doesn't change the square drive here. So square drive, followers, two separate things. Okay. Next, I want to put in the other things we have on the box, like the handle and the little cap that's on the end of it. So I went through and I added these into the folder. So let's go back. If you went to Computer, into Shared Drive, BCHS, PLTW, IED, in Unit 4, you have New Curriculum, and under Automata Simulation, if you sort by date modified, right up here at the top, these four things, right-click, go down to Copy, and then go back into your drive, go into Inventor, find where you put your stuff, Automata Simulation for me, right-click, and check Paste. Once you've done that, you'll be able to go in here for Place, and take those same four parts and drop them in. We're also going to go ahead and make a copy of this one. So right-click, Copy, right-click, Paste. And we have two of those. And we're going to need two of these, so copy and paste that one as well. Okay. We are going to go ahead and constrain the end of that onto one of your ends here. Say Apply. And it's constrained on, but we also need to make sure this thing constrains. So let me click on one of these sides, and it doesn't really matter which flat side on here. Hit Apply. You need 3 constraints total. So let's see which way this can still move. Looks like up and down. So I'm going to say constrain, and that should be sticking to the underside of this. Hit Apply. Okay. Now we can go ahead and say that is mated to that, like your box should be. And looks like 4.5 was not the right size. So let's change this length again. It was 4.5, let's make it 5.5. See if that was right. That looks better. So we're going to take this handle here. We're going to say that this is now flush with the top of this. Apply. And that we want this part to be touching one of these edges. I think that just canceled it. My mistake. Alright, that should be touching one of these. Apply. Then we'll move this out of the way and say that that is also going to be touching, oop, not the plane, this surface here. Apply. Okay. We're going to put these on the ends of our followers. So that bottom piece needs to be touching this piece here. Say Apply. This needs to be attached to one of these walls here. And the last bit might be easier if I just move it out of the way some. Go back to constrain and say that needs to be touching over here. We'll have to do the exact same thing to this one. Okay, so let me just speed through that real quick. Done. Now, you can kind of see that we don't have a hole in the top of the box for this yet. but we're going to make one that's going to match up with this size diameter here. So first I need to know how big around this is. I'm going to go to Inspect, and I have a ruler tool. I'm going to click on the outside of that circle. It says it's 0.47 inches in diameter. So if I double click on the top of my box here, well, if you still have it open, it's just going to open up that. If we close it and then double click, it'll ghost out the other stuff. So let's make a new sketch here. And I do want to project this axle that's going through the middle. I think we said 0.47 is the diameter. Want to make 2 of those. And you really needed to determine how far over these are going to be from the edges. So you can make that whatever you wish, depending on your design. I'm going to make that line a construction line though, so it doesn't get in the way. And let's pretend like we know what we're doing over here. I want these kind of close together. If you go to measure, let's say that's 2, and that's 1.5. Go ahead and cut those. We don't want to say cut through all, because that would cut through the bottom half. So let's just make that a 1/4 inch instead. Go to return. We're going to put these 2 things in place. This time we're going to use a different kind of constraint. It's an insert constraint. And I'm going to click on the bottom half of this and the top part of this and say apply. Do the same thing here. It's going to make those 2 faces suck together. Then we're going to switch back to our mate constraints. I want to mate that face to one of these. And that face to one of these. Do the same thing with this one. So we have that back face and this. And those 2 together. Okay. So now you can kind of see how this is going to line up. And this is what it's going to be like when you actually go to put it together as well. So we need to make sure that our 2 things here are going to be lined up underneath it. And we also want to make sure that we have enough clearance for them. So when this is at its highest point, that's still going to be able to turn around inside the box. If it can't, then we have to change the size of these.